going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here at Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical on me, that is the daily fantasy handle around the industry. It is 5:11 on the East Coast. That's our new start time. Well, 5:10, whatever. Warm in late. Minute late, no worries. We'll catch up soon enough. 2:11 on the West Coast, 4:11 Tennessee time. So, of course, it's time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, it's Kid Yahoo, Kirk Dees, I believe, unless it was forgettable. I believe this is our first show this season. We might have had one before, right? We talk about basketball the first time?
We've definitely had more than one. We did the first one of the season. I know that.
That is correct. Yeah, there you go.
And I feel like we've done more since then, but I guess I'm just forgettable to you, Dean.
Well, you know what it is? After the show, I just sort of bust out that Men in Black one, that like mind eraser thing. I forget it ever happened, I suppose. But
I mean, you gave me the worst parlay I've ever
That's
had
right.
on a
It was
show
1-1. What are you talking about? It wasn't
it
didn't go 2-0, so otherwise it's a loser. But it went 1-1. It wasn't a disaster. I didn't tell you to parlay it.
Yes, you did.
Oh, did I?
You said I have a 2-game parlay. That's exactly what you said.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Well, just so you know, does it make you feel better? I lost money on it too. Does that make you feel any better?
I bet you didn't even lose money on it, especially since you didn't remember. And I bet you I'm the poor guy who just did. No,
I'm pretty sure I probably bet both sides of it. May have just lost juice. I'm not really certain. Maybe I didn't parlay it, but yeah, if I'm gonna wager it. I'm not the kind of guy I'd say like bet this, and this, and like I'm trying my best to get my hand in it as well. So there you go. It makes you feel a little bit better. We have no time for all these pleasantries, Kurt Keys. You know why? It's an 11-game slate. We are not messing around. It's a Wednesday night. It's a big boy slate. Lots of body parts to get into. Lots of stuff to break down as far as all the games. A bunch of games start at 7 o'clock, which isn't ideal for me, or isn't ideal for like backloading, kind of waiting for stuff as well too. Amongst the 11 games, we have 4, I think. 5 starting at 7 o'clock. 1 at 7:30, then a bit of a reprieve till 8 o'clock, obviously. All right. What is your general thoughts as far as this slate? I sent out a tweet just a few minutes ago talking about, it's an 11 gamer. It's NBA DFS. There's some body parts as far as who's in, who's out, who's questionable. And some of the names we're monitoring, some names we're playing tonight that are popping in models, and just kind of makes sense because they have an up, they're going to be playing more run than they normally get. Jetty Osmond, Drew Eubanks, Radthad Young, Svi Mykhailiuk, Furkan Korkmaz, Gorgeous Yang, Malik Beasley. You got to be excited about this slate, just hearing all those names, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's your typical NBA slate. I mean, there's always things popping now, especially with all the COVID stuff and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Jetty. I like when things start popping and we get to make decisions on some of this value. I hate it when there's like only one like correct optimal path because the one piece of main news hits like right before lock. So I like, keep it coming. I like it all.
Just pull up our DK stuff as far as our ownership. But again, we're going to break it down game by game in a second. And it's funny. This didn't work. It just works out this way. I was just looking at the ownership stuff. And obviously this changes, as news comes in, as they are fluid. But as of right now, we have Drew Eubanks projected for 39% ownership on DK. And it is tricky because, there's an opportunity cost of center. There's a lot of good centers tonight. Even if Eubanks puts up like 22 or 23, it's still minimum 3K. Like that might not be good enough because it's costing you a center. Of course, you can roster 2. Next up is Jetty Osmond, then Beasley, then Yang, then OG Anunoby, then Horford, then Holmes. That's our ownership as far as tonight. That's how you squeeze the studs in. A bunch of cheapies there, mostly cheapies. OG Anunoby, not so much. You want me to run off who's in and who's out and who we're monitoring?
Yeah, I'll take a nice little break.
Yeah, go ahead. It's been a rough 4 minutes or 5 minutes. You're exhausted. Take a relax for a bit. Talk to the chat. What up, chat? Hit the like button. It helps out with the optimizer. No, what is it called? The algorithm. Yeah, it helps us keep the proverbial lights on. Keep doing these shows for free. Smash the like button. Turn on notifications if you like. You want to know when we're going live. Talking all the sports, obviously basketball, football, everything else around the industry. Body parts. Trae Young expected to play with his knee. John Collins. This is an interesting one. It's a front end of a back-to-back, and their coach already talked about like just resting players. They rested Herter the other day. Like they just gave him like a fake injury tag. I don't think Collins plays tonight. He is questionable. I'm guessing, he's not going to play. We'll know. I think we'll know. It's a 7:30 game. We should know that one. Pelicans, Herbert Jones, he got concussed last night. He's out. He's because of the concussion protocol issues. Brandon Ingram is still questionable, this hip. I expect him not to play. We shall see. Stay tuned on that. Cleveland, two guys, like you said, the COVID protocols. Kevin Love had it already. Now Lauri Markkanen is out for health protocol issues. Cleveland kind of thin tonight. Hence, we're talking about yet again. Osmond, the Spurs. This is why we're talking about Drew Eubanks. Jakob Poeltl is out for the same reason, health protocol issue. They did get Dougie McDermott back for what it's worth. Dallas on the back end of a back-to-back. Porzingis is still questionable. Maxi Kleber is still out. Trey Burke, who knows, doesn't really matter. He's currently questionable. Indianapolis, we got Brogdon expected to come back tonight with his hamstring. Jeremy Lamb is out. The Knicks, two of their backup bigs, Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson's, are both currently questionable, one with a knee, one with an ankle. Philadelphia, Tobias Harris still out with health protocols, and now they lost Danny Green, who's out with a hamstring, but Joel Embiid is back. Toronto, we still have Scotty Barnes out with his thumb. Davis Bertans out with an ankle. D'Angelo Russell is out with an ankle as well for Minnesota. And also Pat Bev is questionable with the calf. But I don't know, man. I assume Pat Bev is going to play the revenge game, right? I'm guessing so. He wants to be out there against the Clippers.
I would think so, but we'll see what happens. I think he'll make it.
Yeah. But that'll make – I mean, McLaughlin's already kind of sort of somewhat interesting, but if Pat Bev misses, they'll be pretty thin there. And he's a guy that can be kind of sort of somewhat interesting at 3K as far as DK. Give me your overview before we break it down game by game. What's your general thoughts as far as the slate?
And we got a lot of games. We got a lot of injuries. We've got some questionable situations like Jakob Poeltl being out is a big deal. Where the minutes going to go is Eubanks has never played big minutes, but he's a pretty good producer when he is on the floor. Are they going to let him rip tonight, or is Thad Young going to be playing a bunch of center? They haven't really played much Thad Young, so I really don't know how this one's going to play out. But certainly do like Eubanks, especially for the price on DK alone and everywhere pretty much.
Yeah, he's really cheap on FanDuel as well. I think he's 3.7 over there. I'm just curious what our minutes projection. In my head, I'm thinking 24. We currently, I think maybe they're splitting 48. Like maybe you can play Big Body Johnson at the 5. Maybe you can play McDermott for a couple minutes. I don't know. But and Dallas can play. They can play small as well in theory. We currently have it Eubanks 24. And like you said, he doesn't need to play much beyond 24 because he's a fantasy point ready guy. So he pays off that salary. We have Young at 18, which I think can get higher than that. Like they said, he's been kind of on ice most games this year, but they said he's ready. He's ready to go when needed, that kind of thing. So just definitely something worth monitoring. And again, that's one that we also want to see who is in the starting lineup, which we won't have presumably until, it's an 8:30 game. Maybe they have it on crunch time with Andy and Kevin. All right, let's break it down game by game. The first game on the docket is Portland. Portland is playing in Cleveland. 217.5 is the total. Cleveland is a 5-point dog. Some interesting pieces in this game. Lillard, on FanDuel, sure. The price is still down. On DK, tricky. I'm not really sure if I can get there. Talking about the Portland side, I don't really have much else there. Of course, you can play, McCollum, okay with that. Nurkic just not getting enough minutes. Covington is looking awfully dusty. Simons has been a good scorer, but, I don't think that's something I'm looking for tonight off the bench, hoping like he makes, 18 points, which he can do. What do you have for me as far as Portland?
I've got some things. I like this game a lot, actually. So, first of all, you got a tight spread with the Blazers on the road, 4.5. In Cleveland, you've got a little bit of a homecoming narrative for CJ McCollum. You've got some interesting situations on the Blazers side of the ball with Dame struggling so far this season with his shot, with him, talking about it in interviews and everything. So it's something that's on his mind, right? It's pressing. And we're going to see one of these Dame time games where he just goes ballistic and he's like, I'm back, and what a better spot than this Cleveland team that's missing some bodies. So the thing that's great about this game is the Blazers play at such a fast pace. They're first so far in pace. They're 20th in defensive rating. The Cavs, have been playing some decent defense, but I don't think they're going to be that good of a defensive team throughout this season. There's plenty of value in this game on the Cleveland side, but basically it's Dame and CJ, and then take some of these guys on the Cleveland side for me.
I'm on NBA.com. You said who's look at the pay stuff right now. I have Portland at 9th fastest, and I have Cleveland at the 22nd fastest. Who did you say was the fastest? Did I miss something?
I I had it. Hold on, let me just make sure I got this right.
Maybe something has changed since last night. I'm not really sure. It's kind of sort of tight. I have Houston currently, the fastest team in the NBA, and I think there's different pace metrics. This doesn't really matter too much. I was just kind of curious because just sort of checking.
Yep, this was a game before their last game. Sorry. So yeah, I got them now. They're down to ninth in pace.
Yeah. The matchup is still fine, obviously, and Cleveland is not a team we're necessarily afraid of defensively. Although they've been pretty good collectively for what it's worth, but I'm not totally buying that, especially the guards historically, like Sexton and Garland aren't like guards that I'm afraid of as far as the defending. On the other side, one of the value du jour plays of the night, Jetty Osmond, we're expecting him to play, low 30s as far as minutes, decent fantasy point minute player. And the price just is not adjusted to his new role with the absence of marketing. 43% is what we're seeing currently as far as ownership on DK. That's a big, big number, but he's 3.6K and he kind of makes stuff work. Otherwise, he's basically the only guy that's popping. Sexton's kind of sort of someone interesting as a mid-tier play. Just, he's 6.3K, which is a pretty good price. And DK, some of the prices are pretty full. So that's kind of where I'm at as well, too, as far as the two most popular players on Cleveland. Do you agree with that? Do you have any takes as far as Osmond and Sexton?
I like Osmond. I like Sexton. I like all, I like this entire Cleveland side in this game. I think this game is going to play close. I like the fact that Lauri Markkanen's out. I think it just frees up a lot. They're playing Mobley for huge minutes already, and the dude is legit. He's really solid, and he is good. He's gonna be real good. But his price tag is still completely playable on all sites. You get some block and steal upside with him for FanDuel and Yahoo. So I like Mobley probably the best, to be honest with you, but just because of the way that Portland gives it up. But I would probably choose for my one guard. I would probably take Sexton.
I was waiting for you to say Mobley because he's my favorite tournament play in this game, and I don't expect him to get heavy ownership. And I agree with you. And this is one of those guys I think down the road is eventually going to be much more expensive than 7K on DK. I think he's 6'6" on FanDuel. He can even hit a three. He's capable of doing that. And also the minutes, like you said, like 40 minutes last time out. In previous games, we've seen him play 38, 36, 35. And again, Portland defense is not necessarily something I'm afraid of either. So I think Mobley's a really, really interesting tournament play. The only tricky part is you're locking up somebody at 7 o'clock, but I'm willing to do it in a lineup or two. You got anything else in this game, or shall we move on?
But I mean, what bombs are you really waiting for the rest of the slate? It's really just Brandon Ingram.
I'm pretty sure Collins is not going to play. I think Capella could become interesting. But the
thing is, what's the minute upside even if Collins doesn't play tonight for Capella? It's the front end of a back-to-back. What are they going to, they limit his minutes a little bit. They may sit him tomorrow night. I get that too, if that's possible, but I don't really see him getting massive minutes,
National TV game tonight, you get the extra timeout or two or extra commercial or two, whatever it is. If you want to kind of bake that in, maybe, I don't know. Some coaches care, some coaches don't. But like you said, maybe they give Capella a few extra minutes tonight and they're going to come with some fake injuries tomorrow. Like Trae Young doesn't play tomorrow, or Capella doesn't play tomorrow, or both don't play tomorrow. Like Atlanta's a pretty deep team, obviously. And also like there's, the Minnesota stuff, like what if Pat Bev doesn't play? That could be interesting. And what if like there's something we're not even thinking about? It's the NBA, like something out of nowhere can drop, right? So who knows? Like we saw Tobias Harris the other night. Nobody knew that was coming. Of course, we had enough time because that was a 7 o'clock game. But hypothetically, if that was like a 9 o'clock game, right, or West Coast game, we probably would not. We would have been caught off guard and scrambling, and locked in a bunch of guys, and all that Philadelphia guys out there. And there's something you can do. Just it's a general rule.
Last night was a great example. It didn't work out great with JaVale McGee. He didn't play very well. He got benched for his starting role, and they Frank Kaminsky was playing so well. But the concept was legit about holding off on your lineups, keeping that spot, as opposed to like playing Dwight Powell or I forgot who else was, but.
Yeah, shout out to Andy, by the way. Andy tweeted it out, and I kind of made my lineups because of that. He tweeted out basically he was showing a video of the warm-ups for Ayton. He's like, listen, Ayton's not playing tonight. His shoot-around was him just dropping passes like into the interior. It's like, this guy's not playing. And he didn't. It just sort of worked out that way. 11 games tonight. This one is not very appealing at all. New York at Indiana, 216 is the total. It's tight. Indiana's a 1-point favorite here. Brogdon back, LeVert, presumably his minutes get a little bit higher. I know Lamb is out, but like New York plays slow. They play a tight rotation. And I suppose maybe like a Mitch Rob could be interesting because like if both big men are ruled out, which they're currently questionable, he's kind of got a ceiling unless he gets going from a stocks perspective, which he can. We've seen, Sabonis and Turner have max ceiling games, but overall, I'm not really on it. Like Barrett's been good, but the price is adjusted. I don't think I have anything that really, it's all secondary stuff for me. What say you?
Yeah. So there's pace concerns with this game, as with most Knicks games, and the Pacers haven't been playing very fast either. Each team has played worse defense so far this season. Now, there's probably some reasons for that. A lot of that has to do with for the Pacers, at least, with some of their key guys being down. Brogdon will be back tonight, right? Should be back tonight. Did they announce that? So yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll be getting full minutes tonight, but it definitely helps this team overall. The Knicks defense will probably get better, because what we've seen out of Tibbs is just kind of a small sample sort of thing. And some of the games that they've played in, and some wild ones like that one against the Celtics comes to mind. But, there's certainly like some areas here to exploit. Some of these Pacers are probably going to have good games, right? You got Sabonis, you got Miles Turner, who's certainly capable of going off.
But good enough is the question. Like Sabonis is 10.1K. It says he might put up 47 points, which is fine, and it's not going to hurt you, but you need that?
No, not, you might, it depends how the slate turns out, but, so I don't think, you can't ignore him. The price is a little high, especially on DraftKings, but, like a guy like Miles Turner is perfectly capable of going off for cheap price. He's still, priced down on most sites. So that's kind of where I would head towards. I would kind of stay away from the guards because Brogdon being back, Duarte is probably going to suffer a little bit. And whatnot, but and TJ McConnell certainly as well won't be the same guy we just had. But and then the Knicks are just too deep right now. Like they're with they're with Kemba, with Derrick Rose, with stealing shots, with Randall always trying to get his, with RJ Barrett, with Mitch Robinson, who's probably the guy because he's not priced up, and the minutes are certainly have been there for him for a guy that can produce, but he doesn't do much, man. Except
he hasn't been good.
Yeah, he's looked really bad on the offensive side. He's just like, he can catch an alley-oop, like great. He can play good defense, like lock up. He locked up Embiid for sure in that game when they played, and he can hack with the best of them as well. But I think there's big games coming in his future, so like his price is reasonable, especially on DraftKings. So like I could certainly get behind playing him there.
And we haven't seen that explosion of blocks, and we've seen it before in the past where he has 5, 6, 7 in the game, and hasn't happened just yet. It's hard to predict when it's going to come, but at 4.7, you're getting him basically at the floor. So yeah, I don't hate that. If you're running 150 or something like that, don't mind that for tournaments. Anything else? We shall move on. And Randall, you could always play in tournaments, obviously. Maybe you get some 5 if both Nerlens and Taj are kicked out of this game or not available to play. That'll be kind of sort of something interesting. I guess they have Topin or something like that. But all right, we should move on. Toronto.
And I just want to mention Kemba too as well. He's saying he's feeling good. He's doing all, that stuff in the media. He's got 2 games where he's just about 40 fantasy points. Got another one, 35. He's still cheap, right? He's 5,900. And, he's playing, he'll probably match up with Brogdon, who is a good defender, but, he's got a hammy injury. So that could be a decent spot for him, sneaky.
All right. Next game on the docket is Toronto versus Washington. 212 is the total. Toronto's a 3-point dog here. We talked about Svi Mykhailiuk. We presume he's going to jump back in the starting lineup, stay in that starting lineup. We currently have Precious Achiuwa projecting the starting lineup. I think it's going to be Kem Birch. Birch, I believe, started the second half. Birch has outplayed Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa's minutes have gone in the wrong direction. Birch's have gone in the positive direction. Problem is he takes up a center spot. Centers, there's an opportunity cost, but he's, in the pool, I suppose, of guys that can 7 or 8 or 9x his salary because it's cheap enough and there's at least a decent ceiling. He's not this great fantasy player, but he's still pretty cheap. How excited are you with the prospect of rostering yourself some Svi Mykhailiuk? Are you chasing, all those minutes last game? We haven't projected for 30 minutes tonight and 22 and a half fantasy points. Not a great fantasy point winner player, but he is still cheap enough where he is interesting and makes stuff work. Thoughts as far as Toronto?
I like Svi. So he's starting in place of Barnes, right? The reason I like him is because Nick Nurse tends to roll out his starters for huge minutes, right? And keep his rotations kind of tight. Now they have some depth, and he could play himself out of this game, right? If he's not playing well, or he's not playing well on D or what have you, then there's downside there and there's risk. But as long as he's playing well, like he played just about 35 minutes in the last one, he has that 35-minute upside, and he's 3,700 on DraftKings. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel. He's cheap on Yahoo. So I do like him. He's capable of getting a little bit hot from three. If he can get 35 minutes again, like, you got to play this guy at that price.
Yeah, I mean, he could sputter and put up 17, 18 fantasy points in 35 minutes. He has that in his bag, but you're right. Like, in theory, he probably shouldn't hurt you. There is a chance he loses minutes if things go the wrong way to like a Banton or something like that. Like, there's other dudes that can, allegedly step back up. The rest of the team, well, yeah, Trent is pretty cheap, and Toronto plays a really tight rotation. So sure, you can play him. Washington's played slower since the absence of Westbrook. That's no surprise. And they haven't given up a ton of threes either. I was looking at the teams that yield threes this year. I think they were fourth best, maybe fifth best, top five as far as giving up three-pointers. Other pieces on the Toronto side, what do you have?
I think you got to go to OG. Priced reasonably on all sites. It's a little bit of a sticker shop sometimes from what we're used to from last season. But I mean, he's been great actually this season so far. I mean, it was all the talk in preseason and whatnot, and in the offseason about how this guy is really coming into his own. He was going to be a big scorer this season, and he's delivered. I mean, he is scoring. He 36 real points in the last game. He's got another game with 25 real points, 22, 23. I mean, this guy's doing it on the offensive end, and we know that he's their lockup defender. And this is a good spot for them to throw him. They're going to do a lot to shut down Bradley Beal, I would imagine. You know how Toronto loves to like double the stars when they get it. So he'll be locked in on Bradley Beal, and that will open up a bunch of steal potential options for him tonight. So opportunities for him tonight. So I got nothing bad to say about OG. I like him on all sites.
Yeah, I would say he's best played on FanDuel, where he's got the best price and he fits the scoring system best as far as the stocks. But sure, you can play him anywhere, but I think that's the best spot to play him. And like we talk about those rotations, 38 minutes projected for OG, 38 minutes projected for FEB, 35 for Trent. Really, really tight rotations for that Toronto side. Washington, I am not really interested. I don't think I'm playing anybody in Washington. The Harold, the situation with him and Gafford, he was back last game, but he was in severe foul trouble. So I would not buy whatever Harold did last time out. The price is up. I think it's going to be closer to a 24-24 split or 28-20, something like that. You got anything that you like on Washington? Because I got nothing.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma. If Beal is going to be seeing that double treatment a lot tonight, which they like to do, then it's probably going to trickle that ball to Kuzma and good shooting opportunities. Now, will he capitalize? I don't know. Is he going to be low owned? Yes, because of his price. And I think there's some significant upside for him to have a big game tonight.
I think, and you would know this, I think his best price is on Yahoo tonight. Is that correct?
He's 71 on DK. On Yahoo, I think he's pretty cheap over there, but
yeah, I did some rankings over today. I think I actually ranked him, I believe, on Yahoo, but I don't think I ranked him anywhere else.
Yeah, he's kind of, he's 23 on Yahoo.
Pretty good price. Reasonable.
That's okay. It's not too cheap.
All right. You got anything else this game, or shall I move on?
Move it.
Yeah, 11 gamer. Boston, Orlando, 212 is the total. Orlando, 7-point dog here. Your Boston Celtics, is there trouble in paradise? You got Marcus Smart calling out Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum for not passing him the ball. He doesn't want to stand in the corner and pull him like a PJ Tucker over there, but I'd rather have Brown or Tatum shoot than Smart. But
the only real problem with this team is they need to. I wish he'd come out and be like, call out Tatum directly. Be like, Tatum needs to be an alpha, because that's what needs to happen on this team. But anyways, this game is juicy, at least from a fantasy perspective. And you wouldn't, it's kind of like sneaky juicy, right? So it's kind of a low spread. I love betting the Celtics tonight at that spread, by the way, tonight, even though that might seem kind of fishy because, you just look, oh, Celtics, Magic, but this is a great spot for them. I mean, both teams have been poor defensively. Magic have been the absolute worst defensively, 30th in defensive rating on the season. Celtics have been 25th in defensive rating. Is that going to come up for the Celtics? Yeah, it's going to come up. They're going to settle in. Horford's playing much. I don't know what's got into Horford. I don't trust
Amazing.
it. I'm scared, like completely scared of it. So I don't trust it because I just have seen too much bad Al Horford in my day, but has looked great. And, the Celtics have been getting crushed at the 3-point line, 24th in opponent threes made per game. Magic, the same thing, 25th in opponent threes. Celtics have been giving up a ton of blocks. The Magic have been giving up a ton of steals. Like this is like a game stack for me. Like if there is one on tonight, I know 11 game slate, it's pretty hard to do a game stack, but like I would definitely do like a mini game stack with this game tonight.
You say a ton of blocks. I hear Mo Bamba game. Do you like yourself some Mo Bamba tonight?
I do. He's priced reasonably. I like Wendell Carter as well. The guy that I would fade who has looked amazing would be Cole Anthony so far. Yeah. I think a guy like Terrence Ross could go off in this game. But Franz Wagner, the Les Wagner has been amazing. I've got no issue. I mean, how can you not keep playing this guy for the price? He's chucking, he's making threes, he's making shots. He looks awesome.
Yeah, the brothers Wagner, they're both playing in Orlando. Moritz Wagner barely in the rotation these days, but Franz has done great so far. Expected to play 30 minutes tonight. And yeah, Cole Anthony was a guy I liked last year, which I was kind of on an island on. I just like watching him play. I thought this guy had some potential, and people weren't really on it. And he seems to have taken a big step forward this year, and good for him. But I don't know if this is the price you want to play him, or this is the slate you want to play him. 7.1K on FanDuel is a little bit steep. Now maybe he lands and settles in as an 8K player, just keeps doing it. I don't know, but sure for tournaments, of course. But and 7.6 on DK, I have a hard time justifying it. You mentioned, by the way, Orlando, the worst defense, in the league defensive rating. Just want to note, we have the 6 or 7 worst defenses playing tonight. I'll run them down. Orlando's the worst, then Memphis, then Charlotte, then Sacramento, then New Orleans, then your Celtics, then the Pacers. And again, this stuff is early, so surprisingly, OKC's next, then the Knicks. And by the way, both big men for the Knicks are in. So whatever you had for Mitch Rob, get a little bit less excited about it. They have the availability of Taj and Nerlens Noel for what it's worth. Just did a refresh there on the old Twitter machine. Anything else in this game that's of note?
Nope. Tatum or Brown, one of those guys is going to have a monster game tonight. I kind of like Tatum in the spot, but one of them, I'm comfortable saying one of them is going off.
Yeah, Tatum better price on FanDuel at 9.6K. I think he's 9.9 on DK. I think if I'm playing him, I'm more likely to play him over there. All right. Do you want to say hello to the chat? What's up, chat? Do hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, ask some questions as well, too, because we're going to do our best to get to as many questions as possible. Producer extraordinaire Devin is compiling those questions as we speak. He's going to join the show later and ask the questions on your behalf. Give us some details to make it easier. Tell us if it's on FanDuel, if it's on Yahoo, if it's on DK, if it's for cash, if it's for tournaments, all that good stuff makes it easier to answer those questions. And again, we'll do our best to answer as many as possible later on in the show. And if you're seeing some of the things that Devin is showing off, like our premium lineup HQ tool, and you want to have that access at your own leisure, get yourself some RJ Premium, $10 off the first month, $10 off for basketball or all the sports, NFL, college basketball, college football, NHL, MMA, golf, hockey, baseball when it comes back, everything with the exception of NASCAR, $10 off that way as well too. Hit those links if you want to have at it. That was it for the 7:00 game. Chicago, Philadelphia, 215.5 is the total. Philadelphia is a 2.5-point favorite. So no Tobias, no Simmons, obviously. When no Tobias and no Simmons, Embiid goes absolutely nuts. He's pricey, he's expensive, he's having this knee issue, but in theory, the ceiling is awesome. We haven't really seen a ton of minutes out of him, 35, 36, 37. I don't think he's got there just yet, but he's got to be in your pool if you're playing tournaments tonight. And then, of course, there's the cheapies, Furkan Korkmaz, Gorgis Nang. It's possible. Who knows? We currently have those two starting tonight. Thibault on the bench. Wouldn't be surprised if Thibault starts. He's not really somebody who's a great DFS player, but he's an excellent defender. Can rack up he can get there in stocks. That's what he can do, basically.
I think it makes more sense for them to start him if they have Embiid back, which is what they do have. So we'll wait and see. I think it certainly makes sense to start him.
Start him over who?
Well, it depends who you're I mean,
we got Maxey, Curry. Well, Curry's going to start. It's either Maxey or Korkmaz, one of those two.
I would start him over Korkmaz personally.
Yeah, and by the way, my mistake. This is also a 7:00 game. So, what's your thoughts as far as Philadelphia spending all the way up on Embiid? And again, you want to see the starting lineup. Like if Korkmaz is not starting, adjust appropriately. Niang, same deal. But if they are, they're kind of sort of somewhat appealing. Niang at 3.7K, Korkmaz at 4.2K. That's on FanDuel, and they're both really cheap on DK as well. What do you have for me as far as Philadelphia?
I mean, Seth Curry sees the usage bump, at least so far this season, but it makes sense, right? They need, it made more sense the last game without Embiid out because they need someone to put up shots, but he should have a better opportunity to get open looks with Embiid on the floor. When Embiid plays with Curry, it just, he gets doubled and you kick it out to Seth for three and Seth will be chucking. So, and Danny Green's out. So that helps as well. So Seth is probably like I don't really have a ton of interest. I don't really want to play Niang. Maxey, I kind of like. Korkmaz, I just don't see much upside with Korkmaz. Shake has got that minutes limit. So Seth, it's either Embiid and Seth or nobody for me.
I think I just saw a report that Shake's minutes limit is gone for what it's worth.
Oh, well, that's big then.
Let me just go ahead. Yeah. So no longer on a minutes limit as far as Shake Milton, but he's going to still be like a sixth man essentially, right? Or sixth or seventh, depending on. Raptors starting lineup. They are starting Svi Mykhailiuk again, and they are starting Precious Achiuwa. That surprised me. I thought they were going to. I mean, he still might get kicked off the court and barely get any run. We'll see. But I thought they were going to start the Canadian. I can't remember his name now. For some reason, I'm losing it. Kyan Birch. FEV, Trent, Svi Mykhailiuk, Anunoby, and Precious Achiuwa. As far as ownership, by the way, in this game, I'm looking at the DK ownership. Yang 29%, Korkmaz 18%, and Embiid 8.3% because he's pricey. And there's a lot of centers to like.
Huge opportunity cost with studs tonight. That's the problem, is we had so many studs.
Yeah,
11 games.
And center specific too, and that'll lead to the conversation we talk about San Antonio. We'll get that in a second. The Chicago side, whatever, man. I don't think I'm playing anybody in the Bulls. Like they're all basically out there. I know Caruso's been okay and they've lost Williams, but the price is sort of adjusted. I don't think I have any Bulls in my pool tonight. If you want a game stack and run it back with Levine or DeRozan, and DeRozan certainly flashed the moments, but I don't think I'm getting there. I'm not playing a bunch of lineups. What say you?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any Bulls tonight. DeRozan would be the guy I would probably gravitate to. It's like, but will he see any Tybal? I don't know. Will they throw him on Levine? Probably. And yeah, the pricing is just too high. I mean, there's three massive usage guys right there with all pretty hefty price tags.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Like 11 game slate. There's so many different guys to play. Is it possible? Sure. The route's just a little bit trickier for a guy like DeRozan. And, Levine's got the finger issue that he's playing through, and I don't see it. We're not really getting a discount on that. So just a pass for me. First leg of the ESPN doubleheader is Atlanta at Brooklyn. 221 is the total. Brooklyn is a 4-point favorite. This is a weird game where, I'm not thrilled about anything. If Collins gets ruled out, I think maybe Capella gets a little more interesting. It's, two good teams. Brooklyn beyond the big two. It's good luck figuring out those rotations and who's going to start. And I think Nash is just kind of screwing around and just trying to figure. They don't care about today or tomorrow or a week from today. They care about the finals. They care about the playoffs. And they're just trying to figure out the right pieces. And if you want to play, the whack-a-mole game, is it Griffin? Is it LMA? Is it Paul Millsap or, Nectat, James Johnson? I don't want any of that. Like, whatever. I'm not playing that game. Not an 11 game or not necessary for me. Trae Young, certainly interesting for tournaments, but it's a weird game where it's two teams that have like some good studs, Harden and Durant, and I'm mostly ignoring it. I think that's where I'm at right now. What say you?
Yeah, I'm buying Harden. I'm going to keep playing Harden. He's looked good in those last two games. I think he's going to still continue to improve. So as long as his price is reasonable, I'm going to be on him. So he's not my favorite stud tonight, but he's up there. I do like Trae because Trae has that monster upside that can always go off. With John Collins potentially being out tonight, then Trey could just be chucking. I mean, basically it's waiting on I think Capella is a good play tonight. Like you said, but I just don't see the massive minutes upside. I think like we know what his minutes upside is. But I think it's a good matchup for him against Brooklyn. I think, the Nets are 22nd in opponent blocks so far. They really don't have the bigs to deal with him. They've been getting pounded down there. So Capella could have a good game. Even in somewhat limited minutes, if they are going to be playing him tomorrow as well. We don't know. I mean, that's all speculation whether they sit him or not tomorrow. But if they don't,
33 minutes last time out, by the way. If you get 33 tonight, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I would too. But if they decide to play him tomorrow, we could see back to like 28 minutes for him tonight, and 25, 28 minutes tomorrow.
And that's nothing they're going to tell us before the game.
No, and so that's the risk you take. But the matchup's great, like you said, and I feel good when what he's going to do on the court, when he's on there. It's just the minutes upside. But I like him because the price is reasonable on all sides.
Yeah, and like it's not that I don't like Durant or Harden. It's just lineup construction stuff. And if I happen to land, like if I get the cheapies that I like, and it's like, oh wait, I have the money for Durant, I have the money for Harden. Okay, I'm not blowing it up. I'm just playing. I'm playing Harden or I'm playing Durant. I'm going to be okay with that. But I'm not necessarily targeting. Does that make sense? Is that kind of where you're at as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be targeting some Harden tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly looked better of late. He said he feels better. You kind of sputtered out the gate. People were speculating as far as the foul issue. He wasn't getting a foul on as much because they changed the rules. But yeah, I think Harden's going to be just fine. All right, let's move on. We're up against the clock. Clippers, T-Wolves, 212 is the total. T-Wolves are 3-point dogs here. I don't know why. The Clippers stink. I'm on record saying they're not going to make the playoffs beginning of the year. I stand by it. Paul George has been fabulous. He's one of those studs that if you're looking at some sticker shock, wow, this guy's pricey, but he's been awesome. And he's the entire team. The rest of the pieces are pretty terrible. I think he's an interesting run back. Probably not somebody I would play in cash, but like if you're running out Cat, again, another center that's kind of popping. We talked about the potential of Malik Beasley, maybe Jordan McLaughlin, especially if Pat Bev doesn't go. He's currently questionable. What do you have for me as far as this game?
I like this game personally. So you got the tight spread 1.5. It's these teams both play really fast. They've been pushing the pace on each side. Clippers are 6th, the Wolves are 8th. And the Wolves have been giving a ton of production, like they always do in the block and steal department. And we're down D'Angelo Russell tonight. So that, makes, how can we not like Anthony Edwards in this spot?
Yeah, it's just a matter of there's a lot of players to like tonight. I like Edwards too. I think he's a good play. We're projecting him for 37 minutes. It's a lot of minutes. Cat for 36. Yeah, go ahead.
They've got some good defenders that they can throw at him for sure. But Paul George is more on the offensive side right now. I mean, he is this team right now. So I feel really good about playing both of these guys and playing Cat, like playing Anthony Edwards, Cat, and Paul George for like main lineups. But
what about Beasley and McLaughlin?
Yeah, Beasley, McLaughlin, I'll take a pass. I mean, I guess there's upside, especially for his price at 3,000 on DK. Like if we get the Beverly out, but like, what's the real ceiling for him?
It's more about what he gets you, but like,
yeah, 25. The price is. I mean, he's min price on DraftKings, so it's like, but I'm not considering him on Yahoo. You know what I mean? Because there's just like
correct.
I don't have to like over there. So I get it for DK. I mean, you take a 3K guy anytime you can get him if he's going to be starting point guard and playing a bunch of minutes. But we'll see how that news shakes out. And to me, it just seems like Edwards easy play. Cat should go off against Zubac. Like they don't really have anybody to guard Cat. And then there's fringe. I like Beasley because I know what I'm getting with him, right? Like he's going to get increased minutes in this situation and he's going to chuck. And like, that's what I like. And Nick Batum has been playing amazing. So certainly, good. Yeah, he looks, I don't know what's got into him, but he looks like the old Nick Batum that was like good.
The Hornets.
Yeah.
The Blazers, right? Where was he best?
Yeah.
He was best in the Blazers, I think, right?
Best in the Blazers, got his money, and then just fell off. But yeah, now kind of a little resurgence.
Yeah, you said Beasley's going to chuck, and he probably will. I don't know if he's going to make it. He's been a little rough so far, but I imagine he's going to get that shot right to some degree. And again,
16 shots, 14 shots. I mean, keep chucking, and they're going to fall. They're going to fall.
Denver, Memphis, 215 is the total. Memphis is a 1-point dog here. Nobody's playing Jokic tonight, I don't think. Maybe like less than 10%, I'm going to say.
I mean, Big T is.
Well, yeah, look, he's a good play always. It's just that there's lineup construction and all sorts of reasons why you're not supposed to. But like, yeah, he's got 75 point, 80 point upside, and you catch him on the right night going up against Steven Adams there, who's by the way really cheap on DK. And like, if he's ever going to get some minutes, and we saw it last time out versus Denver, I think it's a rematch of a couple of days ago. Again, we talk about the opportunity cost of center and who wants to lock in Adams, but he is pretty cheap, and in theory, he could get you a cheap double-double. Talk to me about Jokic, and is there anybody else on Denver that's even worth considering? Because you could play Porter, sure, but nothing else excites me.
Absolutely love Jokic tonight. The price is high, great, but like if you can find a way to get him. And it's all about the matchup with the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies 29th in defensive rating, like 25th in opponent blocks, 22nd in opponent steals. They also 27th in opponent made threes per game, small sample beginning of the season, but the trends are there so far. Everything that matches up with Jokic's skill set. I mean, when you look at Jokic, we've seen games where he's had just close to 40% usage already on this season, right? Didn't perform very well against Utah, but came in with over 39% usage, over 36% usage against Minnesota. Kind of didn't have a huge game against when he just played Memphis, but certainly can go back to him tonight. So if he's going to get like no ownership, like you were thinking, because his price is too high, there's so many other studs, then I think this is like an incredible spot for Jokic tonight.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I'm not saying he's a bad play, and I'm looking at our ownership stuff now as far as Jokic. Let's see, 10.6%, which, he's an awesome player. It's just a matter of lineup construction and all that. But if he's 10% or 8% or 12%, like, yeah, he's a great tournament play. What about the other side? Triple J is still really cheap on DK. Didn't really get there last time because of foul trouble. He can get handsy sometimes, but like 5-5 again tonight. Bane, just a good 3-point shooter. He's still pretty cheap as well. You can always play Ja, but I don't think I'm getting there. As far as the studs tonight, I don't think I'm prioritizing him. If you want to run it back with Jokic and have yourself, 2 studs in this game, sure, you can do that in tournaments. What do you have for Memphis?
Yeah, not much. Just because of the way the pricing breaks down, like you said, like Bane could be a guy that you could fill in and hope he gets hot from the outside. Ja's priced a little too high, but, should definitely have a decent game. Jaren Jackson Jr. probably has the most upside for the price, although he's certainly struggled. So, it's risky. Started off really, really well, and then has kind of fallen off a cliff since. And been the one thing he's done consistently has been in foul trouble.
Well, that's not exactly what you want. You're considering rostering guys, and also his shots been a little bit off too. His three hasn't been great, but keep chucking. And the price is too good. I'm still gonna have some shares on DK. 3 more games, then we'll get to those chat questions. Keep firing them off. Devin's compiling them. He'll be joining the show soon enough. We got to still speed this up. This is ridiculous. 11 game slate, doing our best to knock it out as fast and efficient as possible. Dallas Mavericks on the back end of a back-to-back in San Antonio, 217.5 is the total. Dallas is a 2-point favorite. San Antonio without Pirtle, no starting lineup just yet. They are getting McDermott back. We're presuming that Eubanks draws the start. We're also thinking that, Thad Young's going to get a bit of run as well too. Dust him off tonight, have him get some, he's an efficient, like a decent fantasy player, and he's cheap enough. Eubanks, though, stone minimum 3K on DK, and we keep talking about opportunity costs as far as center. And so, like, what's the number he has to get to justify it, right? If he puts up 20, you probably don't want that, right? What's the number he has to have? And, like, of course, he puts a 20 and, like, all the studs you get in there and they make it work. It's fine. Well, but what's the number Eubanks has to put up for you to feel like, man, I really, really need Eubanks tonight?
Yeah, so, like, he's popping in, like, the median projections, right? Because he's, like, and he's on FanDuel. We should also point out that he's power forward eligible.
Yeah.
Which is big for him. So the opportunity cost isn't as massive, but than you would think. But and he's got a median projection around 22 to 23 points. But I would probably want like high 20s to potentially 30 out of him, depending, just because there's so many other plays. But I think he can do it. I mean, I don't see much difference between him and Pirtle. to be quite honest with you. And if he's going to get the minutes, I mean, that's the huge if, is that we've never seen big minutes out of this guy. But I don't know. I kind of like him, but I don't think he's a must.
Yeah, we're projecting 24 minutes and basically a fantasy point per minute, and he's a good cash game play. And obviously we want him to draw the start. We're not privy to the starting lineup just yet. There's a chance he doesn't. I presume he will. What do you think of Rad Thad behind him?
I mean, I like him, and that takes being a little bit optimistic too about getting the minutes. Like, what, they haven't been playing this guy. What are they going to play him tonight? They're kind of forced to play him, but will they use Keldon, give him some increased minutes at the center position? I mean,
they can play Keldon at the 5. Yeah. Dallas can play small too, right? So it's possible.
Yeah, and Porzingis out.
But we don't know officially. Is that officially Porzingis is out?
Looking like he's out. Yeah, I'm guessing he's out. So if he is, so certainly this game could go smaller. But they'll play the Dwight Powell. They'll play. They'll probably need a big out there. So I think Eubanks should get the minutes. But I'm always concerned with Pop. So it's kind of uncharted waters. We don't know, but I'm optimistic with him, and I don't see much difference between Pirtle. So give me the, if he gets the minutes, he's going to smash.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. I mean, KBD is lurking as well too. He probably gets some minutes, but not something I'm going to play. As far as the other pieces on San Antonio and the studs on Dallas, I guess I'm talking about Luka Doncic and I guess Jalen Brunson, if he draws the start again as well. He crushed last night drawing the start. He's really cheap still, I think, on FanDuel. I want to say it's like 4.6 over there. And he's got a pretty good Yahoo price as well, like 14 or 16 bucks. Probably want to see him start. Doesn't mean he's not playable off the bench. Thoughts as far as the rest of this game?
Yeah, love Brunson. Like, always willing to play Brunson. He's got the great role. Like, so if they start him, like, they're gonna take him out early, and then they're gonna give him the run the second unit while Luka's on the bench. And he's aggressive. He's a playmaker. He's good, right? And so I'm always comfortable with him. So if he draws a start, definitely like him. Luka, they're going to throw bodies at Luka. He's going to be doubled all game. So it's going to be kind of the guys around him that are going to have the most opportunity. At least, I don't see a ceiling game with Luka. It could happen, but it just hasn't been there for him really yet so far. Did struggle, and the other time that that he went 36 fantasy points, and they were causing a lot of problems the way they were throwing doubles at him. So I would look, and DeJounte Murray is like a ridiculous defender. He's got that length, not the girth that you like, Dean, so much, but he does.
We'll talk about Valanciunas in a second. He's got the girth.
Yeah, he does. I don't have much interest in. I probably should, but Jalen Brunson would be the guy I like the most. I think Dorian Finney-Smith is going to get a ton of minutes tonight. What is he going to do with them? Probably not that much. Yeah. Derek White is capable on the other side, but DeJounte is overpriced. Eubanks I like for the value, but I'm not getting a ton of this game.
All right, 2 more games. New Orleans, Sacramento, 219.5. It's a total. New Orleans, the 5-point dog here. They are on the back-to-back. They are on the road. Ingram is questionable. My guess is he doesn't play, but stay tuned on that. Jonas Valanciunas, the aforementioned the girth of Valanciunas, they keep raising his price, and he keeps laughing at it and saying, "All right, I'll reach it. I'll get it every single time." And how many pounds advantage does he have on Rashawn Holmes on the other side? Like 40 or 50 pounds, whatever it may be. He would bully Alex Len. They brought in Alex Len. Like, Valanciunas has just been awesome. He would be even better under the assumption that Ingram is out. We'll see. Stay tuned on that. Nah has been disappointing. We saw him not even close yesterday. They trade Trey Murphy closed over him. They did lose another body. They lost what's the guy's name? Jones, right? So some of those minutes are going to be going around. And again, if Ingram doesn't go, should be a tighter rotation in theory. Josh Hart, pretty solid play. But Valanciunas is the stud here, right? And then jump over to Sacramento. Just want to note, Rashawn Holmes took a tough fall yesterday. He did come back, so I assume he's fine. He banged knees. And then he came back out and played, and he has not looked great anyway so far. He did have a good game against Dallas, but has just been he's kind of your consistent 30 to 35 fantasy points on a nightly basis. The thing about the Kings this season is that Walton has really tightened his rotation. Oh yeah.
which is, I don't know how that guy is still a coach, to be honest with you.
He's top 3 worst coach in the league, right?
Oh, he is horrendous. But anyways, so Valanciunas is the play. You nailed that one for sure. And then Devontae Graham certainly could do some, do some numbers against this Sacramento D. I think it's kind of sneaky on the other side. I think like this could be a Halliburton game to go off in this one, especially with Brandon Ingram out. Herbert Jones is one of their good defenders who's out. I like Halliburton. I think De'Aaron Fox is going to obviously improve. I mean, he has been horrendous, so you got to take a leap of faith, but the prices come down on some.
By the way, D Wade is drawing the start today for Lori Marketing. Dean Wade. Not that D Wade, but Dean Wade is drawing the start for Lori Marketing. That's interesting. He's not very good though.
I'd rather play Dean Shavelson.
My usage is pretty poor too. Now my rebounding rate not very spectacular either. I tore my ACL playing basketball. That was a lot of fun. So let me ask you about Fox. How concerned are you about how terrible he's been shooting?
I mean, I'm concerned that he's been terrible, period. And he's a guy that I would feel comfortable with, that he's gonna get out of this. Like, if this happens, he goes through some rough stretches and whatnot, but a huge game is right around the corner. You never know when, but it's tough to play him on that price at DraftKings tonight. But this game could be one of the most fantasy friendly games on the slate, with the way that these teams play defense. The Pelicans 26th in defensive rating, the Kings 27th. They both should be pushing the pace in this one. So like I said, I do want plays from this game. And I think he makes a good tournament play, but I really think Halliburton's going off tonight in this one.
Again, you said Ingram out, and we're speculating. He's still currently questionable. Yeah. So, but that can certainly change things, and that can make, like, maybe Trey Murphy's a super cheap guy, and I don't know, maybe he jumps in the starting rotation. We saw Kira Lewis was terrible yesterday, but why can't he be good today? You got anything else here? We got to move on, because we have one more game, and then we got to bring in the questions. We got to bring in Devin. Anything else as far as this game?
No, Steph Curry.
Yeah, there you go. Charlotte versus Golden State.
Bring him on. Yep.
Yeah, 226.5 is a total, pretty big number. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are favored by 6. This is an ESPN game. He is pretty expensive, but yeah, Curry should crush in this game. LaMelo Ball, that whatever minutes worry, I think that's mostly gone away now. I think he's going to be getting his minutes. So he's an interesting run back. This feels like a good Draymond game with the pace potential. Damian Lee expected back, so I think that mucks up Poole to some degree. What else? What do you want to say as far as this game? Those are like the key players, right?
I mean, it's Steph Curry. You get the Charlotte father, Del Curry, narrated against the former team, loves lighting up.
Is he still calling the games? Is his dad still an analyst? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But anyways, Hornets don't play much defense. I know that. They're 28th right now in defensive rating. This game is just it's massive pace, right? Like, both of these teams push the pace, push all game. So this is, and the Hornets are always bad at defending the 3-point line, and that's no different this season. So Steph should absolutely go off tonight. Steph is my favorite play on the entire slate. He's my number one stud. So Steph will be in most of my lineups tonight. Love him. I think LaMelo is a great bring back. I think Miles Bridges is been playing incredible. People aren't going to want to play him tonight because of the price tag looks scary, and because they're going to get, they're going to think Draymond shut him down. But I'm not concerned. I love what Bridges is doing. I think there's so many plays here, right? I think you could play Draymond, Steph, LaMelo, Jordan Poole, Miles Bridges. Terry Rozier is dirt cheap.
He's very cheap
on some sites.
FanDuel, I believe.
Yeah, FanDuel, for sure. So, and Gordon Hayward is cheap on Yahoo.
Let's bring in Devin. Devin, I wanted to get you 10 minutes. It's an 11-game slate. I apologize. We got 5 minutes for the chat. I assume we're already in lightning round.
We are already in lightning round. Let's start with Eric, of course. DK tournaments. Why am I in love with Capella?
We kind of talked about it, but go ahead, Kirkies. Answer that question.
When he's on the floor, he should do great. Great matchup. It's going to be a good spot for him tonight. It's just the minutes concerned. It's possible that he'll sit tomorrow. That's speculating, and so then he'll have minutes upside tonight, but he might not have them.
He's also got some pretty cool hair. Brian, with 11 games, do you use small stacks, i.e. 2 from the same game, or is it better to have more pieces from one game to be different?
Go ahead.
I mean, I do use small stacks. Yes, I think small stacks is completely appropriate tonight. But I don't know. Make your best lineups, correlate some of them, but I don't think correlation really matters that whole ton. But I will. Like, I love this Hornets Warriors game. I've already said that. I like the Pelicans Kings game, and I like the Cavs Portland game.
All right, Morningwood. Good to see them back. DK Tournament. Favorite value play?
Favorite value play on DK? Well, we can run it down. Go ahead and ask the next question. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up our point per dollar guys.
All right, this one comes from K-Mac. FanDuel Tournament. Serious questions. Let me get into the mood here. Julius Randle or Domantas Sabonis?
Sabonis.
You got Sabonis? They're both secondary guys for me.
Yeah, the same. But I'll take Sabonis over Randle. To answer that, the best value play on DK, it would be between Jetty Osmond or Svi for me, because I think I just love that Toronto plays these guys huge minutes. So I think he's going to have massive minutes upside again.
I was going to say Eubanks, and how much do you care that Osman's not starting?
Oh, he isn't?
Dean Wade. Dean Wade's
yeah, that's right. I wasn't thinking. I didn't.
That's not a positive, but it doesn't mean he still can't play.
Forget that. That does matter. So forget. Svi would be the guy, and Malik Beasley would be the guy behind him.
And that leads us to our next question. Brian asks for tournaments. Why is Svi getting more buzz than Trent?
He's cheaper. He's not better, but he's cheaper, and we live north of a salary cap. That's all. Trent's fine, but that's it.
Shannon wants to know, is Georges Niang a thing again tonight, or is he going to turn back into a pumpkin?
So who closes, right? Because we saw Niang start to close the last game because he was playing better than Furkan, and maybe Furkan plays better than Niang tonight. I don't know. Who do you think closes that game? I'm guessing it's up in the air. It's based on who's playing better, but probably Niang.
Yeah, I'm not going to have much Yang tonight.
All right. BJ wants to know DK core for cash. You guys want to touch on some cash thoughts real quick?
The core for cash. Well, I mean, Eubanks, I presume at 3K is just going to be in your cash game lineup. If Thad Young starts, of course you can play him too. You might be able to play them both. I don't think that's a horrendous idea. Jetty Osmond was in the core, but I don't know if he still is. Maybe he is. He's probably still fine. Who's like your favorite big spend for cash? Because I had Luka earlier today, but I'm okay to getting off that.
Optimals are giving Luka.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like I'm not playing cash on DraftKings tonight. So
Curry's a little bit more than Luka for what it's worth. And that's probably the difference.
I still like Curry better.
Yeah. I'm fine with either one, and I'm not taking a stand on it. It is a back-to-back for Luka, and he's traveling, and then there's a chance that Porzingis comes back. I'm more like working my cheapies in and just kind of figuring out what I can do with it. That makes sense. I'm working backwards. Does that make sense to you, Curtis?
Yep.
All right, next question. Sean wants to know, somebody offered me LBJ for AD. Should I take it?
Season long?
Wow, we got season longs.
I don't have a good take on that. Who's most likely to be injured come playoff time?
It took us less than a month to get season long questions, right?
I am in the RG season.
Hyde or Forte was the infamous.
It's Hyde, by the way. Hyde's still playing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a starting running back. Yeah.
Do we have an answer on that one though?
I don't have a good answer. I don't know.
I'm sorry. Go to some season-long site.
Unfortunately,
I wish I could be helpful.
We're looking in for today's information, Sean. Morningwood, you guys were talking about favorite spend up for cash. What about for tournaments? Lightning round, remember.
Embiid? Is Embiid Jokic or Embiid? What do you think, Curtis?
Yeah, Jokic, man. Jokic.
Jason, do you find it easier to win a GPP when there are 4 to 5 games than when there are 11 to 12? Complaining about having done great in MLB and NFL, but NBA is thrashing.
You got to make more decisions on a bigger slate, and if you know what you're doing, you're supposedly, the more questions, the more decision points, you should be sharper. Curtis, thought?
I mean, it's probably gonna be harder on a bigger slate, but I don't know, just because more spots, more games that can each depends what kind of strategy you're using.
Yeah,
are we talking one lineup?
I was gonna say, Jason, try what I'm doing. I'm going away from MME and trying single lineup for NBA, trying to,
really?
lessen the variance. I got to worry about a lot less when I only have one lineup to mess with. Michael, MPJ is relatively cheap. Can you see playing him in a large field tournament with Jokic, or should you separate those?
Would you pair them together?
Because I probably wouldn't, but I don't think it's that bad because MPJ is kind of cheap, and he just needs to start hitting some shots.
Devin, who's the one guy you know is going to be in your lineup tonight? Your one single lineup. Do you have somebody yet? Or you don't know? You're doing it during crunch
time. I don't
know.
I'll have to mess with it during crunch time. It's been a busy day, so I haven't looked at much. We got to end on this one, though. K-Mac wants to know, Dean, what was that stat line before you went down with the ACL?
Oh, geez, it wasn't great. There's a whole story, a whole backstory that's worth getting into, but we don't have time, unfortunately. But it wasn't good. It was like, Tony Snell. You ever see Tony Snell? He puts up like a 36 minutes, 0 points, 0 assists, 0 rebounds. Yeah, it wasn't good. You do not want to roster me. You would not be happy, even though I'm still minimum. Fade me. Yeah, it was not good. All right, we got to step aside and get out here and make way for crunch time.
Dean, before we close, props on the time management. You did a great job today, Dean.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's 11 games, man. I wanted to have so many conversations that I just like, nope, we got to move on. Nope, we got to move on.
I can hear it. I can hear it. Yeah.
I have something to say about this, but I can't. Let's go. Got to power through. And props for keeping me on task, Devin. I do appreciate that and producing the show. Curtis, it was nice having you as well. This was basketball. That was Devin. That was the chat. Hit the like button. Helps keep the lights on. We appreciate that. Helps keep us pumping the show out for free every single day, 5/10 on the East Coast. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. You guys are premium members. Stay tuned for Andy Means and Kevin Roth and a special guest that I'm not aware of.
Will Priester.
There you go, Chief. I'm sure he'll have some prize picks winners for you guys as well. Check out Rotogrinders.com. Get yourself some access to crunch time. That was basketball. I was Dean. We're out of here. Holler!